Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I had a last-minute internet issue where I thought it was basically sort of spinning around saying going live and was doing nothing of the sort. So there we go. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on this as we have a little chat. I've now, as I realised, left my phone over there, which is going to be essential for this because I will be having to very quickly look at Instagram while it's happening for the results and everything. Give me 1 sec. Okay, now destroying things. There we go. Hi, everybody. Yeah, we're here. Booker season is upon us once more. I have a dog who is going to be trying to suck up all the limelight while we're here. So, but yes, we are in Booker season again, and it's a weird and wild time as well. I feel like this list this year. I mean, I suppose people say it all the time. I have much less of a strong sense of what's on this than in other years. I think it's always a tricky thing. You never quite know what will actually appear. But this year, I don't know. I get the sense that this is going to be more of a wild card year. And I don't know what I have to back that up. I just have a feeling, just because there are quite a lot of books I think that have been suggested that feel like really left field answers. It doesn't feel in quite the same way that there are those like 5, 6, 7 books that everyone really agrees on. But yes, hi, hey everybody, hello. It's not a new camera. I'm just using my laptop, and instead of it's like the little webcam on top of my screen at home, I'm with a dog and just using the webcam directly, which weirdly seems to be a better camera. So maybe I should just be doing this all this time. But we're here. I've had to move around this room several times because I realized that I almost sort of had in the background pictures of the family whose dog I'm looking after, and that wouldn't be fair. So there we go. But yeah, let's see what people are saying so far. So we've got, yes, a vote here from Neil for Cloudless, which I wouldn't be too surprised to see, actually. I think it is a book that will stand out in kind of a few different ways, sort of speaking particularly, I think if I remember correctly, sort of around the Iraq War, the sort of UK and the Iraq War, sort of protests and various other things around there. But yeah, hi everyone, hi. We are not too far away, we're about 10 minutes. I think somebody earlier on asked about their live stream. Typically, the booker for some of these will do various bits and bobs. Sometimes their live stream is just for the winner, or sometimes it'll be just a countdown on their page for their Instagram video. Let's see this year, because one of the things that seems to be a recurrent thing every year has been the long list appears in the form of a video, which is great when you've got time to just sit and watch the video. But when you're trying to work out what books they actually are, you've got about 3 seconds for each one to quickly read the name. But yes, this is a really fab range of places that people are from. This is lovely. I love this. Yes, so Guilty Feet. I'm nominating Spent by Alison Bechdel as a quirky left field long list entry. I would quite enjoy that, actually. I think given, was it Sabrina? We had by Nick Donasso a few years back. It'd be really fun to have another book that is a very different type of thing, so a graphic novel or whatever else. But yeah, let's go. This is exciting. We've got about 10 minutes. I say 10 minutes. This is always the thing where technically at 2 it will be announced. Typically the first 5 minutes of that video is sort of an introduction of, we're really impressed by the breadth of books this year and blah, blah, blah. This like intro message where you're like, okay, that's great. I love this. I will happily listen to this after the announcement. For now, tell me the books. But I think it is quite an exciting thing that, every year we get to sort of essentially celebrate this and the International Booker and for many other prizes, just books that are exciting in some ways. Maybe, ostensibly there'll be some that we don't like, and that's fine. That's part of the whole process. But I'm intrigued to see what makes it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments so far about ones that you're really gunning for. I put together a prediction about a month ago, and already feel shaky about that. I feel every so often that I have got it wrong entirely, and it will be some very different things. One book that I've been reading since, and I don't think I had on my initial prediction, is The Artist by Lucy Steeds, which I can see just over there. I've left it over there. I'm about halfway through and I'm loving it. So I would really love to see that. Yeah, Theory and Practice by Michelle de Kretser is one that I had on my list, and it's sort of gained a few sort of prize nominations or wins in other places. But it's not one that I have read yet, because I struggled a little bit with the other book I've read of hers, but I still find there's a lot to enjoy about her work. We've got Joan here rooting for Audition by Katie Kitamura, which I keep on hearing really good things about, because I think when it came out, I was going to read it, I think, and I was just sort of curious about it, and I saw some really divisive reviews of it. Some who loved it, some who just absolutely hated it. Those kind of polarizing books tend to do all right, actually, in lists. I love this. Sorry, yeah. I just started Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. Hope he makes it. Yeah, Steinbeck, needs some more awards. I love this. Yes, Endling by Maria Riva is one that I've seen pick up a little bit of momentum in recent months or weeks, even. And what are we seeing? Oh, yes. So Jamie Ellis here with The Language of Remembering. So I think I'd somehow not noticed that book initially, and then I think either the author followed me on Instagram, or I'd seen something of the author on Instagram earlier today, and I was like, oh, that sounds quite interesting. That sounds like a Bob kind of book. Let's put it on my library TBR. Let's try and get it. So yeah, who knows? This is a very big one. I think this is. I wonder if why this year feels a bit more like a stab in the dark is that I don't know if there are as many. There are a few big hitter authors, and there are quite a few authors who have been previously nominated. But I don't think that it doesn't feel like there's kind of a book emerging that's kind of like The Demon Copperhead, for example, of a couple of years ago, where it was so beloved and so everywhere. And so, yeah, it's kind of interesting to see what this will look like when we've got a book that isn't that, that essentially where we haven't got as many big ones, but we have got quite a few big authors in there. There are a lot of authors who have previously been shortlisted or longlisted. So we shall see. We're about 5 minutes out. I'm going to pull up my predictions and see just how absolutely wrong I am. Because that's the kind of masochistic thing that will get me through this day. I'm intrigued because there are so many types of book that I think have a really strong chance in most years, and it's always hard to tell because you are trying to essentially guess what we think the judges might like, and this is a thing of 5 people coming together and having a sort of a very intense book club. So let me see. What did I say? Who can remember? So mine that I had, my original list that I put, and I don't know how much this will change, was Nicola Barker, Tony Interrupter, Michelle de Kretser, Theory and Practice, Kieran Desai, The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny, which I think has a really good shout, actually. I've seen a little bit more buzz for that because it's not out yet, I think. So I think that's why the buzz has been a bit more subdued. But I think it could be a really interesting one. Danielle Giles with Mir, Xiaolu Guo with Call Me Ishmael, Abdul Razak Gurner with Theft, Megan Hunter with Days of Light, Rasheen O'Donnell with Nesting, Helen Oyeyemi with A New Me, Seth Insua, Human Animal, Anthony Shapland, A Room Above a Shop, which I really hope gets on this list because I love that book so much. David Saloy with Flesh, and I'd love to see that. I think that's the one I'm most confident saying I think will be on the list. And then my final one was Anne Tyler, 3 Days in June. Will I be correct? Almost definitely not. But let's see. Because I think with coming up with mine, there was a little bit of books I want to be on the list and books I think might have a chance. And I don't think I've got that balance at all right. At all. I think I'm almost entirely wrong, actually. Book of Records is one that a few people have mentioned. And I think, if I'm right, that's the Madeleine Tien one, right? And I've heard really great things. I know Eric Carl Anderson loved it. McEwan, see, this is one of those ones because when I was putting together my list, I saw that Ian McEwan had a book coming out, and there was, I think, 1 5-star review for it. And typically a 5-star review that early could be, the chances are it's going to be someone who really loves McEwan anyway. But I'm hoping there's a good McEwan, if Ian McEwan's book is good, that it's on this, because I think Ian McEwan, when he's at his best, is so sublime. Yeah, so we shall see. Yes, Hannah, I think, very rightly there. Please not too many as yet unpublished books, because it's always a tricky one when the list comes out and you realise that a good 3 or 4 aren't released yet. And some of them, normally it's within a week or 2, and so it's not too bad. Sometimes it is just that a book is, you've got to wait a good month or 2. And that can sort of dim some of because the shortlist has already come out by that point. Let's have a little look at what other people are saying. We're about 2 minutes away. The Pretender has been mentioned a couple of times, and I don't think I know that book. Do I? Why does that name sound familiar? Also, I've very overly ambitiously done a mass sort of application thing on NetGalley for so many books over the last couple of months anyway. So there's a very real chance I actually have some of the advanced copies of any books that might be coming out in future. So like the Kiran Desai book, I have a digital copy, which is great if it does get shortlisted, longlisted. If it doesn't, I'm still going to read it, but like it suddenly means there's a 600-page book that I'm parking for another time. But yes, we shall see. Oh, thank you, Neil. So Brady, do we think we'll see any authors whose inclusion feels like tokenism or safe committee choice? I'm not sure necessarily about tokenism, but I think the safe choice sometimes, and I'm finding this interesting with having just been a judge, that there are sometimes books where it's sort of, people have very polarizing views on some, but there's one that's a little safer where all of you agree that it's your 2nd, 3rd place, kind of thing. So let's get ready, because they are about to drop any moment now. And Muckleflugger, I think, actually is a really interesting one. Guilty Feet. Yeah, so I said David Soloy, and I only say that because I listened to an audiobook for one of his other books, and it said that. And I may be entirely wrong. Here we go. Okay, apparently it's here. Let's see, I've accidentally gone onto the wrong page. That's not helpful. Okay. Come on, Booker Prize page. Is anybody getting anything? Let me check the website. Okay, let's do this. We are here. It is 2 o'clock. Let's see what is happening. Booker Prize 2025. Let's refresh the website. Let's refresh Instagram. You are currently just watching me refresh some pages. That's very exciting for everyone involved. Come on, where is it? If anybody else is having more luck, please. Oh, okay, so we've got the first one. So the Tiger Share, Keshava Guha. Oh, I don't think I know this book at all, actually. That's interesting. Sorry, thank you. I've just seen someone's posted a list. So we have Flesh has made it. There we go. Ooh, this is quite a mix. Okay. So some that I was not expecting here at all, but are here. So this is fun. Okay. Right. Let's go through this. So the Booker website has them. I will post them in the chat, or if somebody else can beat me to it, that's fab. Why is it not showing up for me? Come on. What have I done? Welcome to Bob Tries to Use a Computer. Crikey. Okay. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so misinterpretation. I do not know that at all. Or sea scraper. Let's see if I can get some of the author names or something. So the South, I'm guessing, is the Tash Orr book, which I'm kind of surprised by. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was necessarily like a big, strong one. And actually similar for Universality, which I liked, but I thought Assembly was a much stronger novel. Sonia and Sunny is there. One Boat, which I think, if I'm right, is that Jonathan Buckley? Is that the Fitzcarraldo one? I believe that's a Fitzcarraldo, but how am I still, oh my God, I'm having the slowest internet time. Congratulations to Bob, who one day will get this page to work. Okay, right, I'm just going to go by Instagram. This is the safest, easiest way. Okay, we are here. Okay, here we go. So, Love Forms by Claire Adam. I do not know that book at all. I don't think I've heard of that. The South by Tash Orr. So yeah, decent book, but I'm kind of surprised that it's there. Universality by Natasha Brown. Like a decent political book, but I think there are stronger ones. One Boat by Jonathan Buckley, which I have a digital copy of and have not read, and I should have read a while ago. But I believe that's a Fitzcarraldo book, which is exciting because I love them. Flashlight by Susan Choi, and I don't know that at all. Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny by Kiran Desai. So we have a former winner in the mix. Audition by Katie Kitamura, there we go. The Rest of Our Lives by Ben Markovitz. The Land in Winter by Andrew Miller. Endling by Maria Reva, which I know a few people were talking about. Flesh by David Zaloy, which I love, current frontrunner from this list. Sea Scraper by Benjamin Wood, which I have not heard of, I think, for the life of me. And Misinterpretation by Lydia Joga, or Hoga, maybe. How interesting. Oh, okay, that's fab. So we've got somebody who's read and reviewed half of them already. That is wonderful. I have read a grand total of, let's do this. 1, 2, 3. I've read 3. There we go. Okay, this is interesting. And now Booker around this time normally does a bit of a thing of what of sort of stats about the book. The books from this year. So let's see if this is already live as I sort of shambolically try and rush through. Now it's loaded for me on the page. There we go. So also what I think is quite nice this year, there's a little thing here that the shortlisted authors also received some money, which I can't remember if they did last year, but I think it's a relatively new thing. Let's look at the facts that we know about this. This is quite an interesting set of books. So 2 debuts, which is Misinterpretation and Endling. Okay. Yeah, so the longest book is Kiran Desai's Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny, 650 pages. And Natasha Brown's Universality is the shortest. One of 4 books on this year's list that are under 200 pages. Okay, we can deal with that. Then we've got a few other bits here. Some quite well-established authors in this list. Interesting. Okay, how are we feeling about these books? This is a wild set of things. Okay, let's have a little look. What are we? Interesting. Yeah, authors. Thank you, Guilty Feet. Yeah, so authors representing 9 nationalities across 4 continents, with UK authors securing the highest number of nominations. Okay. There we go. Yeah, The Land in Winter is one that I've been meaning to read for a while. So that is hopefully on its way from the library. It should be before too long. This is a really interesting list. So I think, given that we were sort of saying, this is a list where there weren't as many clear books of this is definitely on, all of those sorts of things, then actually it's interesting to see how wild and varied this is. Because I think Ben Markovitz book, I didn't see a ton of people ton of people talking about beforehand. A few of them are ones that, yeah, I really didn't expect. This is interesting. Okay. So yes, good question. Are any of these not published yet? So I know that The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny is not published yet. Tash Orr and Sacha Brown are both definitely out. Jonathan Buckley as well. Katie Kitamura is out. Landon Winter is out. And David Saloy. I don't know about the others, but I would assume some of the others. Yeah, so the Walter Scott was the one that put me onto the Landon Winter as well, Karina. So that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting when you sort of look at what's not there, I guess. And it's always tricky with this with prizes, right? But so yeah, Art Evenings not being there, Theory and Practice not being there, A Room Above a Shop, which I'm really sad about not being there. But yeah, this is exciting. I always try and like sort of flip this round, right? The kind of the risk with something like this is to sort of be like, my favorites aren't here, and this list feels weak in whatever other way. And actually, I think it's quite exciting to think about what, like for me, there are 10 books that I will be discovering for the first time through the lens of this prize, although some of them I probably would have eventually read anyway. But regardless, there's something quite nice about that. So let's see. This is quite an interesting list. Completely not ones that some of the ones I wasn't expecting. Flesh is the only one I think I thought had a really strong chance. Partly as well because I think there was a picture or something of Sarah Jessica Parker walking around holding Flesh a few months back. So I think that was part of the sort of thinking behind it. But of the books I have read, it's interesting. They do seem to deal a decent amount with sort of history and politics in some ways. So The South is very much about, well, it's a sort of more of a personal microcosm life. Flesh has this strong sense of looking at maleness through the lens of a very untalkative man. And Universality is a lot more explicitly political in terms of its conversations. But this is very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm trying to work out so I think there's the highest number of British authors here. And I'm trying to work out who those are from this. So Natasha Brown, I know of. Andrew Miller, I believe, is British, and David Saloy. I do not know so many of these other books. This is very exciting. So, same here. So Universality is interesting because, I thought Assembly was such a shoe-in and should have been a really great one here. So it's interesting to see Universality and not Assembly. Maybe Assembly was too short because it probably is under 40,000 words. J.M. Moore makes a good point. Nothing from Africa, I don't think. I think from what it said in terms of the authors, the country, it's 9 countries. So Albania, Canada, Hungary, India, Malaysia, Trinidad and Tobago, Ukraine, the UK and USA, is where all of these authors are from. So that's really interesting. Okay, well, lots to be getting on with. Okay, so what reading will be coming next is going to be interesting. I think now that we know this, it's unfortunate. I really wanted The Artist to be there just because I'm loving it at the moment. I'll finish reading The Artist and then have a think about what I want to read next. I brought all of these other books with me for dog sitting and then for some traveling I'm going to be doing. And none of them are the book ones. But I have a couple of digital copies, so I will start and I will be doing my Booker reviews shortly. I'll sort of try and do my solo ones. Nice to know that I've already read some at least, even if it's 3. But exciting that there are 10 other books coming. Are there any from this that people are really looking forward to? I think, as a few people have said, sort of read and reread. A few have been intending to read, a couple I've never heard of. I'm going in fresh, having read 0 of these. I love that kind of thing, that sometimes with a prize like this, it can just be this big surprise because you're like, well, actually, I don't know these books. I'm just going to give them a go. Not super long books. I'm just looking at the picture of them all stacked up next to each other. And Flashlight and the Kieran Desai book look like kind of longer ones, maybe Endling by Maria Reva as well. But the others are relatively short. Not that that necessarily matters, but it's sometimes makes it easier when you've got more books that you've not read before. Yeah. Yes, I love this. Stevie's Readies. Still waking up, just realised Hollinghurst isn't there. That's the kind of thing I think with prices and with lists like this. You spend so much time looking at the list, and then eventually you're like, oh, hang on, wait, that thing's not there. I just assumed it was. And then, yes, Hannah lost the plot. I can tell this is a surprising list because my two very well-stocked local libraries have two of them. So there we go. Yeah, it is strange to see no books from Africa at all there. It's like kind of, particularly with so many British authors, it seems quite strange to sort of, I suppose that kind of naturally by numbers, it kind of crowds out other people if you've got lots from one country. But yeah, interesting, very, very interesting. I kept on seeing Wendy Erskine, The Benefactors, bouncing around. And I started getting a feeling that book might sneak its way in there. So it's just the more I look at this list, the more I'm kind of just surprised that there's something else that I kind of thought had more of a chance. But lots here to explore and to play around with. I think maybe the first one I might read here is maybe the Kieran Desai book, just because I've already got it, or the Jonathan Buckley book, just to start off on that. And I will get started doing solo reviews of these. Yeah, I love Karina's comment here. Yeah, are they foiling BookTube, Bookstagram on purpose? I think it does feel like in the last few years, BookTube and Bookstagram have been slightly further off the list than expected. So it feels like in some ways the prize is going for like a ta-da, like surprise kind of moment here. Yeah, Leniverse. I love this. Yeah, no Hollinghurst, no Vuong, no Tien. I'm going to need a moment to recover here. It does feel quite weird when there are books that you are fairly sure have a good shoe in here, or like a really good chance. They've been really well reviewed and loved. They seem kind of like a critical darling as well as being, very, very much loved. So it's quite surprising when you get moments like this. Fun. Yeah, I'm sort of seeing, people sort of saying that the One Boat being a bit harder to find. I think probably because it is Fitzcarraldo, like indie presses generally aren't as bought by libraries. So, but I'm so happy that Fitzcarraldo is there. I love them. So I have no idea what the book is about, although I've got a digital copy somewhere. But I'm chuffed that that Fitzcarraldo are there, because actually it's always seemed like a weird oversight that we've had Fitzcarraldo very well represented in the International Booker, and then in the Anglophone Booker we've not had them at all really. Yeah, Helm, actually that's a good point. Sorry, a couple of people saying Helm is the Sarah, I've forgotten her surname. Helm was Sarah Hall, I think. Helm was one of those ones that a lot of people had been sort of putting forward. Does it not come out till November? Maybe I thought the UK submission publication for that was a bit earlier, but yeah, here we go. So Booker 2025 is amongst us once more. Yeah. Oh, here we go. So yeah, so Rosie's comment here. Land in Winter is brilliant though. Looking forward to reading Endling. Yeah, me too. I keep on hearing good things about that. Yeah, Wee Pretty Pieces of Flesh is one that a lot of people had sort of, it kind of gained a bit of momentum in the last few weeks. Okay. Book of Records, Book of Records and Dream Hotel were ones that kept on creeping onto lists as well. Jose here as well. Hello from Spain. I'm buying some of these books to read. I'm looking at the webpage right now. Do you recommend any of them? I feel conflicted here because of the three I've read, one of them I really loved. The other two I'm slightly surprised are on the list personally, even though I think they're good books. But I think there are other books I would have expected to see sort of before them. Flesh by David Saloy, I think is great. I loved it. I think that's going to be one of my personal favorites. Probably starting this off because it was such an easy 5-star read for me. And Guilty Feet has just said here, Maria Reva is blurbed by Percival Everett and Anne Patchett, both female authors I really like. Oh, there we go. Well, go forth and prosper and enjoy finding some of these books. Some of them look like they might be slightly trickier to get hold of than others. Some of them aren't out yet. At least one isn't. But yes, hopefully, yes, yeah, exactly. The flesh being on there was the Sarah Jessica Parker post on Instagram. So yeah, they've probably been. It's also the thing where they may have started reading a book and then it got submitted. I had this a bit with the Polari, where there were a couple of books that were submitted, and I was just very happy because they were books I'd read before and loved. And so it's quite nice to look at them and be like, oh yeah, that's an easy yes. But I do wonder, it must be quite tricky around this time for them because they've obviously got to really lock it down and say nothing else about any of the rest of these books now. So there we go. Right, I'm going to get on with quickly looking for these books and then going back to work. This is my lunch break. Have a wonderful time. Thank you for joining me as I fail to use the internet and load a web page. Happy reading. I hope you have a great time. And yeah, I'll be doing solo reviews of all of the books as we go. So you'll have more of my thoughts on them when I'm less sort of frazzled and not just staring at a laptop, confused about life. Take care. Have a wonderful reading time with these, and yeah, more will follow soon. Thank you for joining me on this. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. I always forget there's a little moment here before I